Jolene, 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 I'm warning you, don't come for my man. Jolene, 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 don't take the chance because you think you can. You're beautiful beyond compare. Takes more than beauty to understand to come between a family and a happy man. Joey, now I'm into the games you play and nothing else, so you know I'm no here with me, Joey. Been deep in love for 20 years. I raised that man, I raised his kids. I know my man better than he knows himself. You're attracted to my man, but you don't want this smart to shoot your shot with someone else. Jolene, 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 Jolene. On you and find you your own man. Jolene, I know I'm a queen. Jolene, still a Creole band you get from Louisiana. Jolene. There's 1,000 girls in every room that act as desperate as you do. You better go on and sing your tune, Jolene. You, I hate to have to act a fool. You, these depends on how you move, Jolene. Your mom and
I'll
cross
start the webinar now, Cam, okay?
everything between. Look at what mom is. I don't I sleep good at me, cause you can't get up. I will plant your seeds. No, my man's gonna stand by me, breathing in my gentle breeze. See Johnny, 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 I'll stand by, stand by me, Johnny. I'll stand by me.
All right. Okay, I know that got me excited. I'm always down for some Beyonce, so I am super, super excited. Well, I want to welcome everyone today. This is the Seismic Wealth Breakthrough, 10xing your income, impact, and inner power. This is day one. My name is Kimberly Nicole Evans, and welcome to our mastermind today. Seismic transformations. Seismic transformations. Today, day one, we will be working through the programs. We will be working through the tools. We will be working through the mindset shifts that will allow you to have the seismic transformations in your life, your career, and the money that you earn. Here at Seismic Transformations, we transform lives, careers, businesses by providing the tools, strategies, and mindset shifts necessary to succeed at the highest levels. And our programs are a fit for entrepreneurs ready to scale their business, career professionals seeking a new path forward, and are ready to tap into their next level of human potential. So, again, thank you for joining us today. My name is Kimberly Nicole Evans. I'm the CEO and founder of Seismic Transformations, where we help ambitious professionals and entrepreneurs just like you level up in your leadership, strategy, and your income. My career takes me back, oh my goodness. I actually started off professionally in the US Army. I actually had a partial athletic scholarship to a D1 college. I blew my knee out in my first semester in college, and then had to figure out some way to pay for the rest of college. And so my scholarship basically went down the tube. So I ended up joining the U.S. Army. Went into the Army with my best friend at the time, and little did we know that there was a war kicking up in the Middle East that was called Desert Storm, Desert Shield. So I happened to go into the military within my first duty station. I wasn't shipped off to the Middle East, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because everyone who's a soldier or ex-soldier always knows that if we're in combat, we want to be in combat with our fellow soldiers. But my best friend got shipped off to the Middle East, and then I was actually shipped off, we call a duty station in Germany. My flight to Germany from America was the longest flight I had ever taken in my life. And I'm was pleased to say that was one of joining the military is one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And later today, we will be talking about decisions. That single decision transformed my life, taught me some valuable lessons. Not only did it set me up in ways financially from the position that I'm in today, that I was able to retire myself early from corporate America, but it also just taught me some things in life that I don't think I would have learned had I not made that decision. Well, from, of course, the military, I was able to go to undergrad, complete my graduate degree, and start a great career working in financing and banking. And from there, I was able to find my way into some really great career opportunities. And from those opportunities, I was able to set myself up financially, as well as I met some really great people, mentors and others who helped to shape me into who I am today. And through that, I have over 30 years of mentoring leaders myself on strategy and leadership, both entrepreneurs and career professionals. And joining me today is my partner, Carlos Pena. Say hello, Carlos.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming into our seismic wealth breakthrough. Thank you so much.
And Carlos is my marketing assistant, Seismic Transformations. I wouldn't have been able to do any of the things as far as my social media and all my marketing had it not been for Carlos. So next, guys, I've told you about myself and Carlos. I am also a Procter & Gallagher certified coach. Procter & Gallagher was founded by Sandy Gallagher and the legendary Bob Proctor. Everyone pretty much knows Bob Proctor from The Secret, but Bob Proctor had been around prior to The Secret. He taught many of us who have read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He basically mastered that book and was a better teacher of Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich as even more so than Napoleon Hill. But I'm a certified consultant through Procter Gallagher. It was a year-long journey for me. Once again, a decision that I made and a decision that was transformative in changing my life, hence the name of my company, which is Seismic Transformations. So that's enough about myself and Carlos. What I would like to do next is I want to get to know you guys and who you are, whether you're an existing business owner or whether you are a career professional, what type of industry you're in, how long you've been in that industry, and also give me some idea of what we can do today to get out of the 2 hours that you will be spending with us today, as well as learning how you got here. We would love to know just for our feedback. We're going to drop a survey. Carlos, would you mind dropping that survey? And you all should see the survey in front of you. Please just take a moment to complete that survey. I will give you a little bit of time. It shouldn't take you long, but I'm going to go back to playing a little bit of music, but I would love it if you all would complete the survey for me.
baby, mama, I wanna know about you. The earth keeps turning. Oh, what a day, what a day. Even lessons manifest with every lesson learned. In knowledge were your wealth, then it would be well earned. It is the next thing God's back. Oh, there's a lesson not believe in God, but the hear us just the same. Oh, no, no, no. He's rolling sun. Well, no, no, no. Wait, no, no. Must be the heat, the time around the sun. No, no, no. Yeah, I'm going to sing my song. $3 and 6 dimes. Yeah, you might know who you did not do your man. 1, 2, 3, and y'all feel it? Okay. Like 1, 2, 3. The earth keeps turning. Oh, what a day.
All right, so hopefully everyone had enough time to complete that survey. And I am definitely going to keep in mind all of the different answers that you guys have had today so that I'll know how to direct the conversation. But let's kind of just go ahead and get started, and we're going to get into the thick of things here. Next, we are going to start talking about how we think in terms of, and I'm actually put that back up, Carlos. The results of the survey. There we go. So the majority of you are business owners, and you've been in, and the majority of you have also been in your profession for at least 6 to 10 years. So great. That will give me some absolute direction to know where you guys have been. And I see that there's no one here that's brand new, which is great. So no one is brand new from starting their career to 0 to 1 years. But next, we're going to go to the next slide. We're going to start off just by letting you guys know what we're going to be covering today. So today is Ignite. Today we're going to be digging into the mind. I'm really going to get you guys to think about where you are and what it is that you're doing, and not just why. Everybody has the Simon Sinek, start with your why. The why is important, but what's more important than the why is the purpose behind your thoughts and how you're thinking, and truly how passionate you are about being able to fulfill your goals. And it's not to bust anyone's bubble. We've all done things that we've tried, whether it was losing weight or switching jobs, and we just weren't fully committed to it. Well, it doesn't make you any less of a motivated person. But what it does speak to is your mindset and your feelings around what it was that you were trying to achieve and why you achieve some things over others. And I know with me going through the training, especially with Bob Proctor, many of us on this call today are high achievers in one way or another. But how do we get our business to that next rung? How do we get our careers to that next rung? How do we start to ignite the things in our lives and start taking us in the directions that we really want to go with our lives? I often say, and I have a saying, that you don't have to just have the life that you have. We have convinced ourselves as a belief that we just have to have the life that we have. You don't have to just have that life. You can truly pursue the life that you truly want, and you can have the business that you truly want to have. And I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys today and share some things with you that hopefully will get you to also start thinking about how you have pursued your life, your career, and your business. Even if you are a career professional and you're looking to transition out of your professional career into business, this will also be exceptionally helpful for you as well, because it will put you in a position whereby you won't have to go through a lot of the setbacks that many people had when they started a business, because they just had to create something for themselves because they had nothing else to do. And many of those individuals, some of them have gone on to create wonderful businesses. Others have not done so well. And it has everything to do with how you thought about your mission and your goal for actually starting that business and your purpose behind it. But today we're going to talk about paradigms. And I know that paradigms is a word that some people are kind of having difficult with. Still, although we have gotten to a point in our lives where even from a quantum physics perspective, there is no ifs, ands, or buts anymore about how our thoughts shape our world. We're also going to talk today about how you can start to craft a new version for your life and your business. And as my grandmother would say to me when I was much younger, she would speak to me in terms of people that she knew that had bad understandings. And so a bad understanding were people who they couldn't get it. They just couldn't get things right. But we know that absolutely how we see things and perceive things has everything to do with our results in our life and our business. We're also going to identify stories, beliefs, and thought patterns that have had you stuck in reoccurring results. And reoccurring results in business, reoccurring results in your relationships, reoccurring results in life, reoccurring results in your career. It don't matter. If you're still stuck on this wheel of the same old, there is a reason why you are stuck, and we're going to get you unstuck. And today we're also going to do something that was completely mind shifting for me. We're going to go over taking a look at the mind. And no, I'm not going to cut my head open or show you a picture of my brain or anything like that. This ain't that kind of a mastermind. But we are going to take a look at the mind, and we are going to start to understand how our mind works and how that mind works with our bodies, and then how our mind and bodies come together to form the physical things in our lives from the non-physical. Next. How good are you at making decisions? How good are you at making decisions? When I'm talking to high achievers and attorneys, doctors, successful career people, oftentimes they will say to me, Kim, that's a ridiculous question. What do you mean, how good am I at making decisions? I wouldn't be where I am in my life today had I not made the decisions that I've made. Well, let's kind of dive into that a little bit more. There is a single mental move you can make, which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter. And it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. We have a name for this magical mental activity, and it's called being able to make a decision. My mentor, Bob Proctor, actually wrote a very good article on making a decision, and you guys all have access to that article. There was a link that we have provided at the top of the chat. If you were to check your chat, we have some links included, as well as Carlos is going to drop the link again. And feel free, if you have any questions, to go ahead and put any questions in the chat as we make it through today's webinar. But making decisions and being able to make a decision is the single most important thing that we will actually talk about today, because everyone is going to have a decision to make at some point today as we get through the first part of the webinar, as well as to the end of the webinar. When you start to think in terms of how you make decisions, your ability to make a decision, or your lack of an ability to make a decision, for many individuals, without being influenced by the opinions of others. We all know people who will tell us, hey, why would you leave your great corporate job to go and start a business? Or if you're in a certain career, why are you rocking the boat when it comes to asking for more money or wanting a promotion? When people are getting laid off, and we're reading about people getting laid off every day, we have to be able to make decisions without being influenced by others. And the best decision makers also commonly have importance of being some of our highest earners. Not only some of our highest earners, but also some of our best business minds and business people and business leaders are also our best decision makers. Now, I want to pause for a minute and I want you all to think of a time that you made a decision in your life that was so dramatic and altering that it changed the trajectory of your life. And feel free to comment in the chat on whether that is something, whether it was you decided to go to college, whether it was decided you start a business, the time that you decided to marry your spouse or choose a partner or to have children, whatever that life decisioning altering occurrence was. Now, sometimes when we go through life and make decisions, it could be something that's very flippant, right? It was altering to your life, but at the same time, you really didn't put a lot of thought into how you made that decision. Well, today we're going to go through a lot of, like I said before, we're going to talk about the mind. We're going to really start to understand what drives you to make the decisions that you are making and why you are making those decisions over and over again, reoccurring, and then how that is leading to you being where you are today. And I will just give you, as I spoke to you guys earlier, I said one of the greatest decisions that I had made in life was actually joining the military, the US military. And I had no idea at 19 years old how being overseas in Germany for 2 years, in Europe, being able to travel all over Europe independently on my own. I didn't really travel with friends. I would get on the Euro and I went all over Europe by myself. And I didn't realize at the time how that decision in of itself started to shape a lot of my thoughts around my independence. Now, when we think in terms of developing the mental ability to make a decision, that is one thing out of all of the things that we're taught in school. We are not often taught how to make decisions effectively. Most of us will do this thing, and I know I'm not the only one. You'll get a blank sheet of paper, you'll draw a horizontal line, then you'll draw a vertical line, then you'll put pros on one side and cons on the other side, and you'll start listing the pros and cons. And if there's more cons than pros, you go with that decision. Well, that kind of works, but it's not really scientific. Some people will just flip a coin, right? Heads or tails, it's it, and they're in. So how is a person expected to develop the mental faculty of making a decision? Quite simply, you just have to do it on your own. But I think it's important that we learn how to make wise decisions. You can start to look at all of the things that you've done in your life and start to form whether it was a good decision or a bad decision. And I would caution us not to label things so much as good or bad, but whether or not did you learn a lesson from it. That is more important than whether it was good or bad. James Allen may have been thinking of decisions when he wrote, "We think in secret and it comes to pass. Environment is but our looking glass," right? We know that as we think, it starts to form a vision in our mind. And we think in pictures. Believe it or not, we actually think in pictures. But the very basic law of the universe is that we create or we disintegrate. And as we go through our decisions, everyone on occasion has developed the ability to be ambivalent about making decisions. But there is no cardinal principle around decision making. Decide right where you are with whatever it is that you have, what you're going to do next. And so as we start to understand our minds and how our minds can fool us into not making important decisions on whether we should start a business or not, start a family or not, leave our career for a better job or not. These are all things that will have to have a part in how we make decisions. And making decisions is something that you must be able to be good at. And so as we start to work our way through today and figuring out how it is that we want to start making better decisions and forming a habit of making those decisions, we will get much better at being able to just decide and train our minds to be able to think in a way that will advance us further than where we are now. Can any of you think of anything in your life or business whereby you are currently making a big decision not to do something because you don't have the money or the time or whatever? How often have you heard someone say, I wish that I could travel here or travel there, but I don't have the money? I wish I could go to this particular place in the world or buy this particular house or buy this particular car, but they don't have the money. Well, here's the truth of that. You don't have to have the money until you decide to do it. So I'm going to slow down and I'm going to rewind that. Oftentimes we talk ourselves out of making decisions because we start to immediately see what we don't have or what is preventing us from doing it. Now, what you don't have or what if prevent you from doing it doesn't matter until the moment you make the decision to do it. Once you decide that you want to go to Paris, or once you decide that you want to buy a new house, once you decide that you want to increase the revenue from your business from X amount of revenue to X amount of revenue, once you decide that you want to move in your career in a different direction, nothing prior to that matters up until the point that you make that decision. Now, once you make that decision, now we're in the money. Now we have something else that we have to do. And that is, we have to now start to think in a way, in a manner that will allow us to see the potential and the possibility of achieving what it is that we want versus all of those things that we thought up to that point would have prevented us from even getting there anyway. I had someone tell me years and years ago, some of the best ideas are in the cemeteries all around the world. Most people go to their grave having thought about where they were going to travel, what they were going to start, what they were going to invent, how they were going to do it, who they were going to marry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Thinking about it doesn't get you anywhere. You have to make a decision on doing it. And once you make a decision to start doing something, there is a magical system that starts to work in our minds if we start to think in terms of potential and possibility. So you have the article on making decisions, and I want you all to make sure that you click on it and download it and go through and read this article in its fullest, because you will be able to pull some things out of it and recognize some things in your own life that has been preventing you from making decisions. And I only want you to start to fix your mind on the potential and the possibilities whereby you can train your mind to solve for you the situations and possibilities, and you will start to create new circumstances in your life, guaranteed. And as we start to think in terms of how you are going to start making your next decisions, I want us to get involved with a worksheet. And we're going to go to our next slide here. Just to keep you all interactive. And this worksheet is also in your links that you can download. And I want you guys to be able to fill this worksheet out on your own. And this worksheet is actually around 8 questions that warrant your attention. And I know it may seem a little cheesy, but it is absolutely necessary in order for you to start to be able to get out of today and tomorrow all of the things that you are going to need in order to be able to master completing your 30, 60, 90-day plan to move forward, to go forward. And this particular worksheet, the 8 questions that warrant your attention, it speaks on paradigms. Now, Bob was big on teaching on paradigms. And I'm just going to read to you what Bob says. There's no more effort or energy is required in order to aim high in life to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. I'll say it again. There is no more energy required in life to demand abundance or prosperity than it is required to accept misery or poverty. We may even be aware of someone who has experienced dramatic increase in their income, businesses. We have all seen these stories. We have all read these stories. But what we haven't really dove into is asking ourselves, what is it and how is it that individuals can take these quantum leaps in life? How is it that they can move from X amount of dollars to an income to X? How can they move their business from X to Z? Why is it that one business thrives during the COVID pandemic and another has to shut its door? Why is it that one business during talk of recession is positioned to thrive and move forward, and other businesses have already started to lay off people and plan for the worst? What is it that is making individuals make these different decisions? Well, Bob speaks about paradigms. And what is a paradigm? It is not some new age fuzzy words. And as I've said before, we're well past that. We're into the age of quantum physics. And quantum physics has proven what spiritually has already been said for many, many a millennium, which is that our thoughts create the things around us. Our thoughts combine with our emotions, which is, you can say, our heart. So what are paradigms? And why should we be concerned about how they affect our everyday lives? Paradigms are a multitude of habits. In most cases, these habits aren't even originated by you, yet they guide almost every move that you make. One of the more inspiring things that I have ever done for myself was I went through therapy. Yep, me, Kimberly Nicole Evans, went and saw a therapist. We don't even realize as adults how many things were implanted in our minds from our earlier childhood or earlier experiences that help to shape our beliefs. And beliefs are just thoughts that we have over and over again. I've even written how my parents would tell me that as a person of color, and for those of you who may not be of the Black persuasion, maybe you did or maybe you didn't hear this in your household, but I was always told that I had to work twice as hard as everyone else just to get what they had. Now, you would think that that would motivate you, and it did, and I did. I went through my life working twice as hard as everyone else of the belief that that is what I had to do to succeed and to move ahead. And although my parents at the time didn't think that it was a disempowering belief, it truly was. Because we all know that we work with people as well as have been in business with people who it just seems like everything in life just comes easy to them. And why is that? Because they truly have a belief system in their mind that their promotions are supposed to come easy, that money is supposed to flow freely to them. And they have this concept of ease in life. Some people say it's privilege, whatever you want to call it. It is their belief in what they are supposed to have in life. And so for those of us who have gone through life with these beliefs that have triggered us to perhaps become who we are today, I also want us to think in terms of how some of these beliefs that weren't even yours, they were given to you by other people. It could be culture, it could be heritage, it could be your parents, it could be something that you read on TV, but they're not even your beliefs. But these paradigms affect the way that you eat, the way that you walk, the way that you talk. When you understand how to change your paradigms, you will expose yourself to a new world and to a new purpose. And when I started to study the materials that Bob Proctor, my mentor, and I had several mentors from Bob Proctor, Sandy Gallagher, Deepak Chopra, Michael Beckwith, Louise Hay, Grant Cardone, Dr. Joe Dispenza, when I started to understand how to truly master my mind and change my paradigms and change the way that I talked about myself and talked about my life, I promise you, within a short period of time, everything that I did exponentially multiplied. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 times, exponentially. Why? This is called 10 times the impact. And it had everything to do with not the fact that I hadn't worked hard all my life, but it's because I changed my mind. And I changed my mind about how easily things come to me. And once I did that, it started showing up that way. So I want you all to actually go ahead and complete the survey. There are just some short answers. And I don't want you to sidestep the answers. I want you to start to really think about what you want, what you truly, truly want in life, even if it's a little bit embarrassing to you, right? I want you to truly go through and start to think about those things that you are afraid to tell your other people, or may even have denied for yourself because you face setbacks or face failures and you've given up on those things. And I will tell you not to give up on those things at all. And as you're filling out the survey, I'm actually going to read to you from my own personal diary of sorts, in terms of how I wanted to start to change my life. And I put a date on this particular article. And the date was January 20th, 2024. January 20th, 2024. Now, keep in mind, I was in corporate America doing well. But I wrote in my journal, I live in, travel, and eat the best of everything each day. With my ideal life partner, we spend our time experiencing the world and living abundantly and giving abundantly to the causes and people that inspire our hearts. While physical beings on this earth, we both have wellness, harmony, love from family and friends, peace that surpasseth all understanding, excellent health, joy, awareness, great mind and memory and love. I leave a foundation for giving after my body returns to Mother Earth, our source. I live a life filled with joy and abundance of all things good. I spread love and joy. I give cheerfully. I live my best life. I love. Now, how much of that have I accomplished? Pretty much 90% of it, right? And keep in mind, the date was 1/20/2024. Now, prior to that, I didn't have no cheesy life. I had a very good life working for a very good employer and a very good corporate career, a job that other folks would, well, we don't want to condone any kind of violence, but they would kill for it, right? I had a great career. So in a short period of time, after I started to change my paradigms, opportunities increased, things started to appear in my life as if from nowhere. But I know that it wasn't from nowhere. It was from the non-physical to the physical. And it had everything to do with me being honest about what I truly wanted in life. Because as we said, our paradigms shape our lives. So be true to yourself as to what you want, because we're all creators and we'll be creating each and every day at every moment of the day. So why not create the life that you really, really, really want, and not just be satisfied with the life that you currently have? You can start to change your life and shift your paradigm by changing the way that you think. You change the way that you think, you will change the way that you see the world. You change the way that you feel about the things that you think, and you will start to see them manifest in your life. This is a guarantee. So as you guys are going through and filling out this survey, I do want you to take the time, and you can take this survey home with you. But I want you to answer the questions. If you had the time to spend your day every day, if you could truly do what you love to do, what would that be? And I don't know, if I've never met anyone, and I've worked with billionaires, who have ever said, I want to die in my office working while my employees and family all fight to see who's going to take over the company and my money, while I sit here in stress and bad health. I had never heard anyone say that. So when you start to think in terms of what you truly want for your career and your life, don't be afraid to write down what you really want. And furthermore, if we could show you how to accomplish one or more of these above objectives, would you dedicate a specific period of time each day to make the changes necessary to accomplish the success that you seek? How much time would you be prepared to dedicate to this solution? How much time would you actually put into it? When I was actually becoming a consultant for Procter Gallagher, I was asked to dedicate a couple of hours a day every day, studying these materials, meditating, internalizing, visualizing. Michael Beckwith has a great, great book on life visioning. And at the time that I got started, 1/20/2024, I was just saying to myself, well, heck, let's just try it. Let's just see how it works. But I'm gonna put my all into this and see what the results are. And the results have been absolutely astounding. Absolutely astounding. All right, so as everyone has completed that, our article on the questions that warrant your attention, we are going to get started now with my best part, the funnest part of this webinar, which is we are going to start to talk about the mind. And this is my absolute favorite subject now to start to discuss with individuals. And hopefully everyone is done with their actual worksheet. And if anyone needs any time, I can give you guys some more time, but it seems like we're all good. But we're going to start to talk about the mind. So our next little slide and go back one for me, Carlos. How many? Go ahead. Yeah. How many of you ever looked at your mind, right? When I first saw the picture that I'm going to show you guys in a minute, I actually laughed. I laughed out loud. But the intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and have forgotten about the gift. And this Albert Einstein. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Albert Einstein was perhaps, one of the smartest individuals that we've ever encountered, at least in our lifetime. The guy absolutely had a very good understanding of the human mind. Let's go to the next slide, Carlos. So this funny little thing here, this stick person, is called the secret genie. Now, and I still giggle, I have to laugh at it because when I was younger, this is about the best that I could ever do. But this is actually not even my drawing, not even my figure. This was actually taught to us by Bob Proctor and his training, but it absolutely blew my mind because I never thought of my mind. How does my mind actually work? And although we have a brain, we know our brain is a physical thing, but what about your mind? What does your mind really, really do? And we have a conscious mind. Think of your mind as a conscious mind, and we have a subconscious mind. Now, the difference between the two, we know that we have a conscious mind. In our conscious mind, we're able to think, we're able to rationalize, we're able to have emotional reactions to things. And then we have our subconscious mind, right? And that is our emotional mind and our feeling mind. And we have 6 intellectual faculties. And those intellectual faculties are perception, will, imagination, intuition, memory, and reason. I will say again, we have 6 intellectual faculties, and they are perception, will, imagination, intuition, memory, and reason. So as we are starting to think about our actual mind, our actual physical mind, and how our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and our physical body starts to interact together. When we think of our conscious mind, the conscious mind is the thinking mind. The conscious mind is the thinking mind. It's the educated mind. That thinking mind is the one that never, ever shuts up. It's the one that's always talking. It's constantly talking. It's telling you everything about the weather. It's telling you about how your coworker and how tired you are or how great you feel. Your conscious mind is that mind that is always talking. Have you ever tried, and for those of you who meditate, you actually have to spend I'm still mastering it, going through hours, thousands of hours and years of meditation to be able to quiet your mind, to shut your mind down. That is actually your conscious mind. Your behavior is the cause of your results. And once you start to understand that your thoughts create your beliefs and your beliefs create your behaviors and your behaviors create your results, you and this little stick person are going to become best friends. Your conscious mind receives information from the outside world. It is the mind that, through your five sensory factors, sight, smell, taste, touch, your conscious mind, it is the mind that is deciphering all of these things from your sensory factors. Unfortunately, most people in their paradigms and through their conditioning causes do not realize how they become so subservient to the world through their conscious thinking. You have the ability, the innate ability to be able to create, but that creation comes from your subconscious mind. I repeat, that creation comes from your subconscious mind. Once we understand the difference between how our subconscious mind starts to react with our bodies, and I'm going to say something here for you individuals, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. But in order to study the mind, we also have to be able to accept some spiritual things. And whether or not you want to accept these spiritual things are going to have everything to do with your ability to understand how your mind starts to affect your body. Now, we have all heard of miracles, how people have gone through miracle healings, how people have gone through miracles of repairing their relationships. We've heard of people who've had miracles with their children, relationships with their families and their children. But we have to start to remember and understand that the conscious mind is where we gather information. But it's not the part that controls the actions of our body. The conscious mind thinks, and the subconscious mind executes what is impressed upon it and expresses itself through your body. Let me say that again. Your conscious mind thinks, but your subconscious mind is actually what expresses things through your body. Every person has genius locked up within them. Their spiritual DNA, the essence of who you are, is perfect. Your spiritual person is perfect. But once we start to understand that our subconscious mind is the part of our mind that is affecting our body, the stress that you feel, the beliefs that you have, and beliefs are no more than thoughts that we have over and over again. The only limits that we place upon ourselves are those limits that actually have not gone from our conscious mind to our subconscious mind. And I'll give you all an example. When I was in high school, I actually wrote in my yearbook, and I graduated in 1989 from Westbury High School here in Houston, Texas. And it was the funniest thing ever because our mascot was a Confederate soldier, and our flag was the Confederate flag, which nowadays I don't even know if that would go for it or not. But I wrote in my yearbook that I would become a CFO before I turned age 30. And I wrote those exact words, that I would become a CFO before I turned age 30. Lo and behold, in my banking career, I had a situation happen that I thought would be detrimental to my career. One of my top clients actually went into a war of wars with one another and decided they were going to split the company in half. And the owner ended up actually coming into my office. I was able to offer them loans, credit, things of that nature as they were exiting and departing in this relationship. And a year or so later, after the business was off and thriving, the owner took me out to dinner. It was like one of those scenes in a movie somewhere. Actually wrote this really nice income figure on an envelope, passed it to me across the table, and asked me to come and join them and be the CFO of their company. At the time, I was 29 years old. So it was before my 30th birthday. And I could not have dreamt of that situation, the how of it to change. It would, I just had no idea. But I had never not thought of myself as eventually becoming a CFO. And it went from my conscious mind to my actual subconscious mind. And even from the courses that I was taking and the things that I would do and the way that I dressed, I would always dress as if I was a CFO. And I, of course, accepted the offer. And that was another decision to leave a very good corporate job to go and work for this company as a CFO. And it changed, again, it changed the next stage, the next trajectory of my life. And here I am flying around the world first class. And I didn't say business class. There's a difference between business class and first class. But here I am flying around the world, getting picked up by private cars, 29 years old as the CFO of this company. And I remembered writing that in my yearbook. So I had to ask myself, how did that happen? How did I actually become a part of manifesting? And people have a way of turning away from the term manifesting, but how did I manifest that situation, that occurrence into my life? And it had everything to do with my mind and how I actually was using my mind to create the world in front of me. And one of the things that most people, when it comes to the conscious and subconscious, Bob Proctor talks about this, Deepak Chopra, Dr. Joe Dispenza. There are so many people out there, Tony Robbins, who talk about the mind. All of these people aren't crazy. And all of them have been proven through quantum physics that our thoughts create the things in our lives and our thoughts create the things in our world. But until we start to understand how the conscious mind works, the subconscious mind works, and the next slide, Carlos, you're not going to start to really get and understand how protecting your thoughts. Go back one, please. I'm sorry. That we're not going to get and truly start to understand how our subconscious mind affects our body and how our body starts to formalize feelings that turn into vibrations. And yes, it is called vibrations and frequencies. And it starts to shape the things in our lives and in our world. And even when you say that you can't, and let me give you some examples in business and some of the most successful business people that I've ever worked with and who have gone through some of the most horrific situations in their lives, but still managed to build highly successful businesses. It had nothing to do with the economics of the time because everybody was going through the recession. When there's a recession, it doesn't just happen to some businesses or some people. It's happening to everyone who's in that economy. But why do certain businesses have an ability to excel through and out of it and others fail? And it has everything to do with the way that leader, and let me be clear, it has everything to do with the way that leader thinks about their business and their ability to work through that situation and that economy, not the employees. That's a whole different webinar that we'll have to do. We're talking about leaders and career professionals. They have to have a certain mindset in order to be able to get through those situations and to bring their companies out on the other side. And that has everything to do with how they process information and how they feel towards what it is that they're doing and how they're doing it and what their worth is to not only to their families, but to themselves, yes, and also their employees. So these individuals go through a lot of thought in terms of how they are actually setting up their companies and what they are putting into their minds and how those physical vibrations go out into the world to start to create their reality. Next slide, please, Carlos. And I know I said a lot with that. And oftentimes when we are thinking in terms of Kim, how practical is that, right? You know, we signed up for this webinar. We were told that we would be able to understand how to overcome our limiting beliefs, how to see ourselves as a new person. It is critically important, and understanding how our minds have been used to limit our ability to think in terms of where we want to be next, it means everything. And as my mother would say, no one will ever rise above their ability to think or see themselves somewhere. And trust me, I understand. I have business owners that come to me and they say, Kim, I haven't been able to grow my company. I have career professionals that I mentor. Kim, I haven't been able to get my next promotion. Kim, I want to be able to leave my career and start my own business, but I don't have the money. I've heard it all. And what I say to these individuals each and every time is quite simply, what is it that you really want for your business? Do you really want your business to scale? And this is where a lot of the mentoring that we provide gets sketchy. Because at the same time, you cannot see your business scaling, and yet you have a fear of working more hours, not having time for your family, taking on debt, doing all of the things that will happen if you start to grow and scale your business. There are individuals who want to scale their business, but their mindset and their emotions and their feelings around scaling their business are the opposite of what it is that they want to achieve. Now, again, the world will respond to what you feel and to what you think. And this is one of the areas where it gets very, very sketchy when I'm speaking and mentoring business owners. And we go through this process, and they're, you know, at first they laugh and they think, I don't really want to go through this. This is a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. When we truly start to peel back why it is that you have not been able to move your company to the next rung on the ladder. Why have you not been able to get past this impasse? And it's not because you're lazy, it's not because you're not intelligent. There is something that is keeping you from moving forward. And even with career professionals, I would hear professionals say all the time, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to be the next one to get promoted. Oh, my boss is never going to give me that raise. If I ask, they're just going to laugh at me. In my career, when I started to tell myself that everything came easy to me, guess what? Everything started to come easy to me. It was a joke how often I could get a raise, how often I could get a promotion. It became just fundamentally a way of life. And it was just because I changed the way that I thought about myself in the world and how things were to come to me. And it's the same in business when you're thinking in terms of how is it that you're positioning yourself, and how is it that you're positioning your business, and how is it that you're positioning yourself in life around your thoughts. When you start to think in terms of capital, one of the major things that most business owners, the number one conversation I always had was access to capital. Kim, we don't have enough capital. Kim, I can't get capital because of this. I can't get capital because of XYZ. That's not the reason why these individuals couldn't get capital. There were some fundamental reasons around it, but it was also some mental reasons around why they could not access capital. As soon as you start saying and coming out your mouth what you can't do, guess what is going to keep showing up in your life? What you can't have and what you can't do. And every business person that I banked who had made it from the $1 million mark to the $1 billion mark and beyond always had a positive outlook. They would say to me, Kim, I have this transaction and I know that the money is available for me to complete this transaction. Or they would say, Kim, I'm looking to scale my company. I know that the economy isn't the best right now. However, I'm believing for this acquisition because I know that there are going to be some good buys out there. Someone is going to be willing to sell. That was the difference between those entrepreneurs who were excelling in their companies and those who would come to me in the exact same environments and say, Kim, it's tough out there. It's rough. I don't know if we're going to make it. We're just barely holding on. What can you do for me? Right? And those are completely different attitudes toward what it was that they were wanting to achieve in life. But there is a common denominator of success. And this common denominator of success is another worksheet. And I actually want to take the time for you guys to download this worksheet. It's an article. I want you to download the article. And I'm going to give you a little background on this article, right? A little background on this article is you may be asking, who the heck is Albert Ian Gray? Well, Albert Gray was a guy who was high up at the time in Prudential. And this article, again, is one of Bob's articles where he talks about, in general, what is the common denominator for success? And the common denominator for success, as you will read in this article, and I want you guys to download these and actually take them home and do some homework, is that these individuals form the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. These individuals form the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. I often tell the story of everybody in basketball knows who LeBron James is, right? So we have LeBron James, who is by far probably one of the best basketball players there's ever been. There's always arguments around LeBron, or of course, we all know our great, Michael Jordan. But they're both fantastic players. And I use the analogy all the time is that if LeBron James, as good as he is, still has to get up, go and practice with his teammates, because he's LeBron, he doesn't get to kick his feet up, he doesn't get to go to practice and drink champagne and, eat chocolates. He still has to go to practice. And if he can get up and go to practice day after day, still practice his free throws, still keep his body in shape, do all of these things, and he is by far the number one or number two basketball player there's ever been out of all the great basketball players, what makes other people think that they're not even the GOAT, they're not even the greatest of all time? That they don't have to do certain things in a certain way and still get up and do these things, even though it may not be their funnest thing to do. The secret to success is you form a habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. It seems simple. It seems so simple. And yet it is so profound, because once we ask ourselves, what are those things that I am doing that is preventing me, when we went through that worksheet of the 8 questions that you ask yourself, what is preventing you from being able to achieve those things? Instead of reading books maybe on how you could start your business, grow your business, fund your business, you can tell me every Housewives episode there is on television, and there's like 20 of them, and you know all 20, plus the characters by first name, and then you could tell me everything that they've done. How badly do you truly want to do the things that you say that you want to achieve in life? What are the things that you are currently doing that are preventing you from doing the things that you want? We have already ascertained that it's not the lack of money, because you don't have to have the money until you make the decision to do it. It's not time, because you don't have to make the time until you actually make a decision to do it. Health, maybe. Some people will say, well, I'm not in the best of health to be able to do this right now, or I'm overcoming a sickness, or okay, I understand that. But what things can you be doing right now, even in that state, right where you are, that can start getting you towards where you want to be? I have a practice that I started, and is actually was also Bob Proctor taught this, and I was one of those ones that I would have a list of things every morning, 1 through 15, sometimes it'd be 1 through 20. And I would start running through that list. And we all know the people who check lists and go through lists and run through lists. Well, Bob had this practice that was just a 1-2. You do one thing, then you do the second thing. And once you finish the second thing, you celebrate it, then you go back to your next 1-2. And it starts to train your body and to train your mind and get out of this cycle of thinking that you are overwhelmed. And you just have to go through 1 and 2, then another 1, then another 2, then another 1, and then another 2, and start to make your way through your day on that 1-2. And so as you are thinking in terms of how do you start to move yourself in a direction, in a different direction, that you can start to put into play the things that you want in your life. And I know this is a lot. This is just 2 hours. And you start to think in terms of what is it in my mind? We said we were going to talk about limiting beliefs, but I know you didn't probably think that we were going to start talking about your conscious and subconscious mind, and how your subconscious mind affects your body, and how your body gives also frequency and vibrations, and those frequencies and vibrations start to affect the things in your life. I didn't even start to go into the law of attraction. We didn't even get into universal laws. I don't want to throw that on everyone within 2 hours, but I do want to start getting you to think differently. That's all I want. That's all I want right now on day 1, is for you to start thinking about the possibility of maybe it's not on the outside, but that what is holding you back is on your inside. It is within you. And that is a tough pill to swallow, because now that I know that it's me, or I start to at least start to accept that it may be me, now I have some work to do. I have some work to do around the way I think about my business as a CEO, as an executive. I have some work to do around the way I see my career. I have some work to do around the way I manage my life, around the way I manage my family. And I have to start to work on my mind. And you may not be able to do it all just by yourself within a couple of hours. On day 2, we talk about mentorship and how you can get in front of other people that will help you be able to work through these things, to guide you through these things. Because if you could do it on your own, you would have already done it. And it doesn't mean that you're not capable of doing it. Again, I know everyone on this call is highly capable. But what does have to happen, and we can start to think about it in terms of, well, Kim, that's fair enough. If you say that I need to start looking inward and start looking at the way that I manage my thoughts and the way that I manage my mind, okay, I can do that. What's next, right? And so we will definitely be able to start talking about what are those next steps. And the best way to explain it is to share with you how I did it and what I had to do. And Michael Beckwith gives a great word for sacrifice. He says that sacrifice is giving up something of the lesser for something of the greater. And I'll say again, he says that sacrifice is giving up something of the lesser for something of the greater. And I will always be as transparent as I possibly can and be forthcoming with you guys. I gave up a lot to get to where I am. One of the things that always led me in life were a lot of the beliefs that I developed as a child, watching my parents build businesses, lose businesses, struggle through recessions, things of that nature, which led me to major in accounting and finance as an undergrad. I wanted to understand, why is it that some people succeed? I didn't even know what the hell a recession and a trough was. I didn't know there was such thing as a peak in growth and all these other things. I just knew that was a period of good times and then there was not so good times. And it just seemed like some people always had good times, no matter what time it was, no matter what was going on. And I wanted to learn, who are these people? What are they doing that me and my family haven't done? What do they know that we obviously don't know? What are they practicing that we obviously have not practiced or put into play? And I became curious. And that is something that I want all of you to start to think in terms of, is your curiosity about what I'm saying to you today. I'm not saying you just have to eat it up, spoonfuls, but I do want you to be curious about the conversation that we are having today. Success in life is no respecter of person. Thank God. Or whoever it is that you are following. Success in life is no respecter of gender. It is no respecter of race. So what is it that is truly holding certain people back? And it has everything to do with their belief system and the way that they see themselves in life. And so as you guys are reading through this article on the common denominator, I want you to really ingest what is taking place in this article. And it is a great story built around lessons that Bob learned doing some training at Prudential. And for those of you who are in business, I was on the sales side of business. It's a great article for those of us who were, at some point in our life, either commission based or salary and bonus based. It will truly start to help you understand why it is that your numbers look the way that they look and somebody else's numbers look the way that they look. And it has nothing to do with the lack of access to business or lack of access to clients. It does have everything to do with the way that you see yourself in your role and in your business. I had no problem meeting clients. None of my clients even resembled me in any way, but it didn't keep them from being my clients. And so, or gaining new clients. And so what is it that is keeping you from achieving what it is that you wrote on those 8 common questions and where you are today? And I just want you, again, for all of you, just to be curious about that and be honest with yourself. All right, next slide. All right, I want to go over a little what is going to be happening on day 2. And I actually have a guest speaker that is going to be joining us a little later today for you guys as we start to just kind of work our way through today. I did want to start to kind of open it up to some questions. But I'm just going to go over day 2 for a little bit here and what's happening on day 2. Day 2, we are actually going to scale with strategy. We're going to map out a real world plan to increase your income, build a scalable revenue streams, and take control of your financial future. I know this is the action part of it. Today was the building part. When I was a soldier, I went through basic training. They just didn't throw us out there on the battlefield. We actually had to go through a building part. And it was not only physical building, but it was mental building. And we had to be able to practice before we went off and executed as soldiers. And so today was the mental building. I know that it's tough. It could be emotional. It really starts to get you to think. And most people just want to go into day 2, which is, I'm one of those people as well. I'm just like, show me what I got to do and I'll start doing it. And that is true, but not true. Because if you start doing something and you really don't truly have the passion behind why you're doing it, and or you don't have your mind fixed on the results that you truly want, you're going to end up being successful, but you're not going to be as successful as you could have potentially been had you dealt with your situation a little differently on the front end, which is the success that I had in life. I had a lot of success from just bulldogging my way through life. And it was just interesting how after bulldogging my way through life for almost 20 plus years, how when I gave up and I just allowed things to start to flow and happen in my life, how within a 2-year period pretty much made up for the first 25. And I said, well, I'm on to something. I want to keep doing this. If I could get in 2 years what it took me 20 years to do prior, or 25 years to do, I want more of this. I want to focus in on what it is and learn more about that and get discipline around understanding what I did. And for most of you, like me, even Bob Proctor speaks about it. He didn't even know what he was doing. He just knew he saw the results. And then once you start to see the results, you cannot deny that there is something happening here that you did not have any idea was even possible before. And that's why when I created Seismic Transformations, I don't want you to go back to having the same results in the same life that you had before. I want you to have seismic, earth-shifting results in your life. And you can do that. It's not just for me. It's not just for those other people that are out there. I am living proof that this works. It absolutely works. And you can start to see the results, the outstanding results in your life. And you don't have to work your way through your life one bite at a time. As they say, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? I'm gonna go in on the whole elephant, because I will have whatever I see myself having. And I get to construct my reality with my mind and the way that I feel about what I'm capable of achieving. I get to do that. And it gives me the power every morning and every night before I go to bed, understanding that I am the creator of my reality. And that is the truth of the truth. And it is a hard pill to swallow, but it doesn't mean that you can't get there. And so we're going to be talking about multiple sources of income, executing with certainty, how you can start to build the mentors and the network that can collapse time. I had a schedule that I was going to retire at 62. Now, that was on my physical financial schedule. Being a banking person, 62 was it. Personally, I had written down in my life that I will retire by the age of 55. Again, this is something that I secretly held within and didn't share with others. I had set my retirement age at 55, although I knew in my conscious mind and my thinking mind that Americans retire at age 62. I was able to do it at age 53. So I beat my own schedule by 2 years. And how did I beat my own schedule? I beat my own schedule by starting to understand these laws around controlling my conscious thoughts and how my conscious thoughts, my subconscious thoughts were creating my world. And once I started to understand that and see the exponential results, baby 62 went way out the window. And I fell 2 years short of 55. The only thing that I would have done differently is when in my high school yearbook, I would have been more specific on what type of CFO. And I wouldn't even wrote CFO. Hell, I would have wrote CEO of a Fortune 500 company. The only thing that I would have done differently than write that I was going to retire at 55, I would have wrote 25 or 35. Now that I know what I know now, everything in my life in terms of a timetable has collapsed. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this. And also on day 2, we're going to go through with our 30, 60, 90-day plan as to how you guys can move forward on this. And I'm going to share with you the secrets on how I did it and literally what I did day to day, almost hour to hour to get to where I am today. And we're going to do that on tomorrow. Can I have the next slide, please, Carlos? So we want everyone to go ahead and get registered. Carlos is going to drop a link in the chat box, and I want you guys to get registered for tomorrow. Go ahead and get registered for tomorrow. Carlos is going to drop that link, and go back a slide for me, Carlos. All right. And so on tomorrow, like I said, we're going to get very specific. Today was the mental work and the mind work. And while we sit on this page here, and as I told you, we have a guest speaker that is going to be coming on later this evening. She's a good friend of mine, very successful entrepreneur. I know a lot of you on here are in business or are contemplating going into business. She's hit the $1 million mark, well over the $1 million mark in business. And so in especially in America, you have that $1 million mark is pretty much a benchmark for all small businesses. And once you're able to reach that number, you know that you have product fit, you have service fit, you have product market fit, service market fit. And then from that point, you can start to grow your business exponentially from that point on. But we're also going to be talking about MSIs on tomorrow, multiple sources of income. And when I say MSIs, I just don't mean real estate. We're going to get down and dirty on thinking of all the potential and possibilities once you release from your mind all of the things that you think you know. And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't know nothing. Baby, once you start to get in this material and start to truly, truly internalize this material, you will start to understand that what you thought you knew and what you thought you saw is only a blip of what's actually possible in terms of what you can do for earning multiple MSIs, multiple sources of income. Most people just get stuck on real estate because that's what's mostly out there, and you don't even like real estate. You don't want to be a landlord. You sure as hell don't want to go around trying to collect rent from nobody, commercial or otherwise. So why do real estate if you don't want to do real estate? There are so many other ways that you can actually start to earn MSIs. In your existing business, we're going to be mapping out an actual plan on how you can increase your income as well as build scalable revenue streams and take control of your financial future. I have met throughout my life some of the most stressed out people I have ever met were business owners, small business owners. They couldn't take vacations. They couldn't even leave their businesses. They were afraid to even close them, take a day off. We're going to talk about how you can control your financial future. And for most business owners, small business owners, your life and your business are one. There is no separating that. So it's foolish to work on one and not work on the other. It's outright counterproductive, actually. So we're going to make sure that we get those things done on tomorrow. So for those of you that have the link, go ahead and get registered for tomorrow. And while we're waiting on our guests to come for the next part of our discussion here, I am going to go ahead at this point, Carlos, and kind of just open it up to some Q&A. I know that's not the next slide, but I want to check the pulse of this audience because I know I went through quite a bit on just mindset and the mind in of itself. And so I want to make sure that we are answering questions. And I know that I'm wonderfully good looking and my voice is great. I know I sound just like Beyonce, singing as I am talking, not. But I definitely want you all to be able to ask questions. And so if any of you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat and we will get to answering those questions. I know we dropped a bunch of links in the chat, but if anyone has any questions, we'll definitely want to take your questions. No questions? Am I just that good? Would it be possible to map out strategy for international business scaling? Okay. That is a really good question because, especially when it comes to international business, the answer to your question is directly yes. And why is that possible? For the simple fact that just depending upon where you are wanting to do business, is there any particular place in the world that you're wanting to do business? And the reason that I ask is because the business laws will change from country to country. For example, EVs, AUVs, for global, what is it? What is the app tote? I'm sorry. I don't know. Or was that just a misspelling? Okay. All right. Um, to answer your question, Africa is also a huge country, right? So to do business in Nigeria will look different than doing business in South Africa. So in mapping out a strategy, we can start to just break this down from top to bottom, soup to noodles, right? Number one, you would have to understand the business laws of that country. And in any business, whether you're starting a business, that's even for me, I had to go through this process. You need an attorney, you need an accountant or a CPA that understands, an attorney that understands the business laws in that country that you're wanting to scale to do business. You need a CPA that understands the accounting between the US and how import export business taxes around that will affect you, as well as you're going to need to know any type of liability, protection from liability, whether that's insurance or otherwise. But then you start to, yeah, map out a strategy. And then that strategy can look anything from, are you working directly with manufacturers? Are you B2B, B2C? But when we start to look at overall the conscious and subconscious mind work to create reality. Sure. Yeah. When you are, and thank you for that. Thank you for that question. And I was not wanting to go too deep, but we're going to go there because someone had asked, but I want to get back to the question with international business. When we are talking about strategies, as you guys are putting together your 30, 60, 90-day plan, one of the areas that we help you to hone in on as a mentor when it comes to putting together your strategies is that you have to be able to match, and I call it matching. You have to be able to match your expectations for what it is that you're trying to achieve with your business to your operations. And your operations has everything to do with leadership. And most people don't equate operations to leadership, but it has absolutely everything to do with leadership because you are the leadership, especially if it's your business. And you have to make decisions, which is the first part of what we started talking about today. You have to make some decisions around operationally what it is that you want to achieve. And if you want to achieve $5, the operations and scale that it would take to put in place to achieve $5 is completely different from what it would take to make $500,000. And hopefully that makes sense to you. And that part of it is the common part of decision making that individuals don't get. And it is a part of and I love the fact that Carol put in here, are you able to summarize how the conscious and subconscious mind work to create reality? And that is a good segue into what we were just discussing with scaling an international business. Our conscious mind is our thinking mind. And in your thinking mind, and as I explained before, my grandmother would say, some of us got bad thinking or bad understanding. And that is the best way to put it. But our thinking mind is that mind that is constantly telling us, before you can do this, you need to have this. Before you can do this, you need to have this. And it does that over and over again. your thinking mind, your conscious mind is that mind that says to you, wait. What if this happens? And what if this happens? And what if this happens? And what if this happens, right? And it does nothing for you. It's like tofu. That's the best way to describe your conscious mind. It's like tofu. It has no taste. It really doesn't do anything for you nutritionally. It is just there, and it constantly chatters. Now, your subconscious mind is your inner being. That is the best way to describe that inner being. Some people call it a third eye. Some people call it a sixth sense. Some people call it intuition. But more commonly, we know our subconscious mind as that mind that we don't, it's the magical part of your mind. You don't have to get up every day and tell your lungs to breathe. They just breathe. You don't have to get up every day and tell your legs to walk. For those of us who are mobile, they just walk. Your subconscious runs your body. And we don't even think of it in those terms. But if you drive, you're not driving with your conscious mind. You're driving with your subconscious mind. We've all been driving and a favorite song came on or a thought came on, and then it seems like it was no time at all, but we done drove 15 miles 30 minutes later, and we don't even know how we got there. You just singing away or thinking away. That is your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the magical part of your body. And our quantum physicists, as well as everyone from Jesus Christ to Buddha, have been explaining to us how the subconscious mind interacts and works with the body, our physical body. And it's a repetition of things that go through our body. And those feelings and those vibrations have to be good feelings. And you will hear the term of a vibrational match and a frequency. And when you are vibrationally matched to the thing that you want, and not the thing that you don't want. And this is where we have to be very careful when we start thinking of the subconscious mind. Because if we're constantly thinking, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be broke. You're telling yourself subconsciously what you don't want. And that vibration and that thought is occupying your mind. It is dominating your mind. And so therefore your physical body, because you keep saying, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to be in debt, you start to feel stress. And that stress and that vibration is a match to broke and in debt. And you wonder why reoccurring, some people, and I'm not saying this is you, how some people are always broke and in debt, because that is the dominant thought in their mind. Now, how do you start to change that? You start to say to yourself that money comes to me frequently and easily, that people call them affirmations. Affirmations work. Affirmations are no different than prayers. Prayers are no different than meditating on what it is that you want to see and achieve in your life, in your body. And that physical feeling, or when you start to see yourself not in debt, but living your best life, and you encompass that vision starts to take over you. And you cannot tell me, or no one can tell me, when they see themselves traveling and dancing the night away, it feels good. And you start to have a vibration of good. When you start to see yourself stressed out about money, it's stress to your body. That stress has created sickness. And I'm not even going to keep going there. But that is, stress is one of the highest causes outside of the environmental for cancer, for strokes, for heart disease, for all of the things that our bodies physically start to feel because of the stress that we bring in our lives. That's career-wise. When we start to tell ourselves, I'm never going to get promoted, they're never going to see me as a manager, they're never. You start to create never. And you start, when you go in every day at work, we would even see, for those of us in corporate, you would see the people come to work like they scared. It's like, what are you scared of. They literally walk in the office, the eyes wide open, and they're scared to come to work because they think that the worst things are going to happen to them while they're at work. Someone's going to yell at them. Someone's going to ask them to do something they don't know how to do, whatever it may be. But they create that reality because their physical body, all the way down to their shoulders being hunched, to their heads bent down, starts to respond to that, and they create that situation in their lives. And so that is a way that our conscious mind and our subconscious mind starts to create our reality. And the only way that you can start to train your subconscious mind to see the best of you in life is through meditation. It is through prayer, but a lot of people who pray don't pray the right way. They say, "Oh Lord Jesus, please, if you are willing, please allow me to do this, that, or the other." Good luck with that, because that prayer ain't going nowhere. As people say, it won't even go past your top lip. It's the same thing. You have to be able to pray, and you have to be able to believe as you receive that you are. It is the art of going from thinking to doing to being. When you pray, when you meditate, when you envision yourself, you must master the art of seeing yourself as you are now, where you are, where it is that you want to be in the future. You must become your future self right now. And it's not called faking it until you're making it. It is called believing it until you can see it. That is what it's called. And you must start to believe your business to be what it is. And the entrepreneurs that I have worked with that have made it to the billions and made it through every kind of economic cycle you can think about, it was in their minds that they were going to make it through that they were going to figure out a way that the universe was going to come together for them for their good. They were not that entrepreneur that went and rolled over in the ditch and read every article that came out on Fox or CNN or MSNBC. We create those realities, and our physical bodies start to respond to our subconscious mind. Any more questions? But that was a great question. Any more questions? All right. So if you guys, if you're a business owner, what advice would you give a person who is just starting? Okay. First of all, if you're just starting off in business, the first thing that I would tell you is, if you aren't, I don't really care what your background is. I was a financial person, very astute in finances. I've had all types of series, FINRA licenses and MBAs and all this other kind of stuff. But I still had to have a mentor. The first thing that I would tell anyone in business is to find a mentor who has walked the walk and talked the talk. And let's say that you have that already. The second thing that I would say to someone who has a mentor who has walked the walk and talked the talk is to actually listen to them. Not only just have them, but let them know what you're doing and start to formalize a relationship with them on a regular basis, whereby you can have regular talks with them on a weekly basis, not monthly, on a weekly basis. And you need to be able to understand that part on the front end. And I know there are people out there that say, "Kim, I don't have any of those folks." Well, we exist, right? We are out there. And so you may not know anyone directly, but that's why Seismic Transformations exists, because we fill in the gap for those individuals who say that I don't have this, or the person that I have doesn't have time for me, right? So once you start to get a mentor, there are just some other strategic things that are just basic things that you have to do in order to be able to start a business. I kind of touched on those before, putting together your team. And I want you to understand going in, one of the things that will be detrimental to you is to say, "I don't have an attorney. I don't know anyone in insurance. I don't. That is why it's important to have a mentor on the front end, so that you can start to get into the right mindset of speaking into existence what it is that you want to achieve. But before you can do that, you have to know what it is that you want. You have to know that. And what you want can change over time, but you at least need to have a baseline for what it is that you want to achieve. And we say here all the time within Procter Gallagher as a consultant, tell us what you want and we'll show you how to get it. And that is where the work of mentorship comes in. And if you're struggling or dreaming and what you want to do, maybe because you've accomplished everything you wanted so far, what else do you want? What's next? There's always a next. You're either moving forward or you're disintegrating. I have a mother who's 87 years old, 87. She lives on 10 acres of land. And my mom still gets up every morning to water the plants. Now, she won't even, we could put in a sprinkler system. She don't even want the damn sprinkler system. She wants to get up, water her plants, go around and talk to them. 10 acres, right? She doesn't do all 10 acres, but at 87 years old, the first couple of acres she still works on. She gets on her riding mower, goes around and cuts the grass. As long as you are physically living on this planet and on this earth, there is always something more that you want. Retirement wasn't it for me. I knew that there was more that I wanted, that there was more that I could give. And so that is where I place my time and place my attention and place my life at this moment in time. And so as we're working through the questions, and these are all great questions, and someone has a CPA, attorney's liabilities for commodities. Okay. What would be a good thinking to thrive above all things? First of all, export import. When I was a CFO, that's all we did. We exported everything out of the U.S. overseas. So export import financing is different from all other financing. Export import attorneys, CPAs, because you're not only dealing with U.S. laws, depending upon who you're doing business with. There's accounting standards that are different in different parts of the world. As far as, like I said, also the business part. And the best thing that you can do is to get an attorney, a CPA, and an insurance broker who has done business or is doing business in the countries that you want to do business in. I would not go on Google and look up any of this stuff and then try to do it. You're going to find yourself in a world of trouble, especially when it comes to taxes, when importing and exporting. But I would go to the internet and Google to look up these individuals to see who are experts in these areas. And if you're in big countries like the USA and Europe and Canada, you have local people who already have expertise in import-export. These are major cities. If you're in a major city, there are plenty of people around who understand that. And another great resource, if you're in the USA, I don't know if you are in the USA, but xmbank.gov is a great resource. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right. Do we have Kyra on the line? There she goes. All right. Hey, Kyra, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing well. I am doing well. So can we go to thank you? Carla, you were great. You were a DJ in another life, weren't you? Okay. Carla's be right on time. All right. So our guest partner today is Kyra Rennell Hardwick. She's has an MBA and a driving force behind TKC Smart CEOs. She brings her extensive expertise in strategic planning and leadership development to your organization. And as a CEO, she is dedicated to empowering smart CEOs and aspiring leaders with the resources they need to excel. Known for her innovative approach to commitment to excellence, Kyra helps businesses navigate challenges and achieve a sustainable growth. Her leadership at the Kyra Company, which is TKC Smart CEOs, ensures a comprehensive support system that fosters collaborations, continuous learning, strategic decision-making, and community support. Kyra Rennell and her team are dedicated to people, processes, and profitability. I love that model that drives your business. Kyra, how are you? Welcome.
I am fantastic. I'm fantastic. And I'm not sure if you want camera on, but you can go ahead and you guys have the controls. I'm here to do whatever you need. I'm excited to be on. That's such a great, I would say, I sat as I'm sitting here listening, you know, to you, Kimberly, really put the position in.
All right, Kyra, we just lost you.
There we go. I'm back. They got me all set now. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, let's get this video together. Oh, lighting. There we go.
Angie, you got your best
No.
hair today. You always look good.
Good, 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 good. You got a good little view behind you. But I love the way that you were lining that up and just really setting mindset, making mindset such a tangible thing for us and then helping us understand how mindset drives everything we do. And so I'm excited to be on with you. Seismic transformations are what we're doing around here. And Kimberly, I am thrilled to be a partner.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm soon, very soon. The Zoom holds up to 500. We're going to be well over that, and it's already has happened. It is already happening, and I'm so excited to be introducing partners like yourself early in the process as we just continue to take this thing to the next level. So, Kyra,
Absolutely.
with your business, really, I want to. Why did you go into business?
So I went into business because my family needed to eat. Like that was like, we're gonna go with the basics. So we need food and shelter. No. I really went into business truly. Once I realized and committed to actually starting the Kyra company, which we now is affectionately known as TKC. I went into business because I knew that I wanted to use my gift that I gained through corporate, through my learning, my education, all the things, um, of being able to really bring people's dream to life. And when I say that, as a corporate leader, I saw my ability to help people figure out how to take this idea that they had as an employee, whether it was their performance plan, their professional development plan, whatever it was, they wanted to hit certain metrics. I just had the ability to transform their mind so they could see how they could get it done. And so as I became a little bit more clear about what this whole business thing looked like, if I'm coming out of corporate, the safety of every 2-week paycheck, and I'm going into entrepreneurship, I wanted to use that same skill set. That is where my core leap for joy when I knew that I had the ability to still be a transformational leader. And that's really why I'm in business, because I have the ability to change the way people think, enhance their ideas around what they see in their vision, and to really build it out in a way that allows them to actually take actionable steps. So I would always tell people, especially early on, I started, Kimberly, I have one of those stories where I started in a cafe and I was holding meetings like from 9 to 5, and I would leave before the dinner rush at the restaurant, but nobody knew that they were the only meal I had. I had breakfast and lunch, and then I'd leave and I'd see them tomorrow, you know, at one of the restaurants. And I did that for probably about 6 months until I was like, at some point, they're going to ask me to stop taking this same seat in the restaurant. But that's how I built my business. And then within about maybe 4 or 5 months from there, I got an office and we just took off from there. But it was about being able to see if I can impact them and I can truly get people to see what's possible, and I'm doing it at the rate of like $250 an hour, clearly I can do something here. And that's where it started. That's the kind of that rags to riches story of the business. But the Kyra company just really, Kimberly, became my heartbeat. And I want people to understand the possibilities that they have within them. And so that may sound very soft and not tactical, which people are used to hearing me be very structural and talk about infrastructure and all that. At the core of people, process, and profitability models is the person. And whether that's the CEO of a Fortune 5, Fortune 1, or a growing small business, the ready customer for us is someone that is open and ready to have a conversation. And I started my business so that I could impact that kind of change.
Okay. What decisions we started off talking about decisions and the importance of being able to make a decision beyond putting a horizontal and a vertical line and pros and cons on one side, and then just whatever, if you have more pros than more cons, you go with that decision, or flipping a coin. What decisions did you have to make in order for TKC to be where it is today?
So a lot of this is going to be heart-centered. I will say this. I had to decide that I wasn't going to settle for the limitations that I was used to holding on to. So the things I thought I couldn't do, I didn't know corporate language. I didn't know what I thought was entrepreneur language. I had insecurities around being very corporate and coming into what I would call the wild, wild west of entrepreneurship. And I realized quickly that what I was trying to hide or bring down a little lower so it wasn't so pertinent and potent, like my corporate acumen and my approach to business. I wanted to make it a little more just what's the word? I want to make it a little more approachable. I realized that I'm sitting in meetings and people, my clients or my potential clients would be saying to me, we need you because we need the structure that you have. They could hear the structure in my language. They could hear the structure they saw the structure in my process. So the thing I was trying to bring low, slow, put it under the radar, shrink into, that was what my customer was calling for. So I had to get rid of my insecurities. I had to lay those things by the wayside, quite frankly, because those are security blankets for me. If I can lean into something that I'm not good at, then I have an excuse for something that I don't achieve. But I really had to let go of my shrunken self, just to be very honest. And I'll give you a quick little story. I had a mentor, and I was in you're just talking about mentors and the power of a mentor. My mentor, I've been working with her since, like, I started in her program when everything was free, and then I went up to like the $49 thing, and then I got all the way up to being able to buy a VIP day. I worked my way from like literally like $49 to like $5,000. And I was like, oh my God, I just spent $5,000 at one time with one person. That was pretty awesome. And that was because my business was growing. Like, I was following the system. And we were on this call, and I have a pretty big personality. And so I would have that on our calls and be with the mentor group and all this stuff. And then for whatever reason, I was at my house, and on this call, she said, I have to ask you a question. And I'm like, okay. She said, is anybody there with you? Can they hear me? I'm like, oh Lord, what is she going to ask me? And so she asked me this question. And at the time I was married, she said, are you having an affair? What? How dare you ask me that? Like, I'm this stand-up church-going woman. Why would you? So once I got over the question shock value, I said, no, but why did you ask? Right, Kimberly? And I'm sitting there like, she better have a good answer. And so she said, because the version that I see of you and get from you when you're on our group calls or you're participating at a conference is not the person I'm talking to right now. And so what I realized is that the conflicts that I was having internally, the conflicts I was having emotionally with my mate, was showing up in how I communicated my abilities or my dreams. I'm in my $5,000 program now. At this point, I need to be maxing out. And I'm over here acting like I don't want anybody to hear me say I'm being successful or that I'm dreaming about being even more successful. I mean, at that time, I hadn't even cleared $250,000. So we're working on, trying to get a good, strong 5 figures in here, right? And I was so shrunken and I didn't know. And when she asked me that, it shocked me to my core. And so I started doing the work right then, Kimberly. I started doing the work and trying to figure out what was holding me down and what I was allowing to keep me kind of withdrawn from like the Kyra that was out and the Kyra that was in. And that was a really hard process because I didn't want to go telling people, I can talk about it now, but I didn't want to tell people what my mentor asked me and then get feedback from my friends on what they saw. That was embarrassing. That was really embarrassing. I was like, me of all people, but she asked the right question and it hit me so hard because I was really, yes, I'm having an affair. I'm having an affair. And I think Tamia has a song and she's like, there's a stranger in my house, right? And that's what she said. And it was me, like it was me. I turned into someone that was then afraid of success because at that point, I knew I could be successful. I knew that I could at least make my previous corporate salary. And I did that within like 9 months of my business. Then I knew I could start to perhaps, can I double it? So I'm on this trajectory of success. And I got so scared because I thought I was gonna cause more problems in my family because of the insecurities. And then I was causing trouble and trauma in myself. So I'm like a two-headed monster in that moment. And I had to face me And that
And we
was big.
Yeah, and I had spoke on that earlier, Kyra, and individuals. One of the things that we do in our mentoring program here at Seismic Transformation is that we help individuals understand that and work through that. You
Mm,
cannot think in terms of feeling success and at the same time feeling turmoil about your success that you may
mhm.
have or the success that you want to have. One of those feelings, frequencies, vibrations is going to be higher than the other.
That's right.
And oftentimes, what happens is that fear oftentimes is a higher vibration, but
Hmm.
hope is higher than fear. But higher than hope is certainty, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
you're going in the right direction, but usually people are at fear, and then they go from fear to anxiety. They go down,
yes.
and then from anxiety to literally will have a heart attack or a stroke, right? They're
Mhm.
physically, their body starts to absorb all of that.
That's
Talk to
right.
me about the sacrifice that you made, because you mentioned there were sacrifices. You mentioned, at first you just wanted, you got a family, we got to eat, which is
Yeah.
the truth, which is where most people start.
Yeah. So that was really the biggest piece. And I think for me, I had to then face me. Like the real sacrifice was Kyra. Like for real. Like this is no chaser. The real sacrifice was I had to sacrifice the version of Kyra that had been showing up and helping others and not taking care of herself and not even knowing who she really was, but I knew what I could do. So I could do things. I could do things. My merit increases kept telling me I could do things. I could produce things. I had the ability. But Kimberly, I had not dropped into me to know like why? What are my mechanics? What gives me that skill set? What I didn't have I had zero ability to sustain that kind of energy. So I was like burning out, as you're serving folks and you're giving, and you realize you don't even have a sustainability method. There's no way for you to reset, to replenish yourself. So quite
Yeah.
frankly, the sacrifice was time. I had to start using my time in a different way to then serve me. I had to get quiet and study because I knew that I didn't
So
here's
you,
something different about go
so you gave
ahead.
up you gave up the Housewives of Atlanta to study, because we talked about
I
sacrifice.
did. I did,
You
girl. I
did. You
gave them
still
up. I don't
okay.
watch
Oh,
them. I gave
you
them, I
don't.
detoxed.
You detox from the house. So you gave up the housewives to start studying on your business. We talked about
Yes.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
And people think about sacrifice as pain, but sacrifice is
Mm-mm.
giving up something for the lesser for the greater.
Are the greater.
Right? So
I needed more time and I needed more clarity. And I'm very introspective. So I really had to spend time reading and journaling and understanding then what my system was becoming as I was watching my clients do what I did with my coach, follow my pathway and be successful. I was like, I probably need to document this a little more intentionally to figure out what is it that I'm actually doing with them, and what are the actual steps. So the sacrifices were some of those. Just I couldn't hang out like I wanted to.
yeah.
But I chose to do so. Okay, this just came back to me. This was a revelatory moment.
Before you go there,
Yeah.
because I want to make sure I get this question in.
Okay. Okay.
Right now, because I know you and you've studied, and a lot of your studying has been on mindset and manifestation.
Yeah.
What are you manifesting now?
Oh, good question. I'm manifesting bi-coastal living. In the US, I'm manifesting the globalization of the Kyra company. I'm currently
Okay.
manifesting that the Kyra company, I will be the leader of the largest, in partnership with others that join us, but the largest small business focused consulting firm in the nation, able to transform organizations and give small businesses exactly what they need in every category and vertical services of service. And so that's what I'm manifesting, big, bold, and bodacious dreams. I'm also manifesting kind of on the, I don't know if this is true manifesting. I'm in the actionable part of like this beautiful redesign of my body. I'm super excited about it. I'll call it that. Yes,
Okay.
and I'm doing it my way. And so I'm excited about that. right now I'm expanding my intelligence and meeting new people from across the nation, which is kind of the space that I'm in right now. I'm learning. And so I am in a focused and like fearlessly focused phase of my life. Fearlessly focused phase of my life. How amazing was
Love
that?
that. I love
I
that.
like I like
Because
that.
you're coming to us from Tufts University, and we
Yes.
spoke earlier. We spoke earlier, and I spoke about the common denominator, which is
Yeah,
doing the things that failures don't like to do, right?
that's
So
right.
as successful as you are, you're still growing and learning. And right now, you are
Yeah.
physically at Tufts University.
Yeah. I'm at Dartmouth, which I'm at the Tuck
Oh,
School of Business,
okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
you did,
Dartmouth and the Tufts School of Business. Got
yeah,
it.
which is the very first business school in the US. This is one of the 9 Ivy Leagues, but also not only that, but I'm in a 100% hand-selected cohort of my peers, learning how to grow and increase the quality of our operations together. Do you understand the value chain that I'm in right now, the thought partnership that I'm in right now?
And
Insane.
that is the part where and thank you so much, Kyra, for that. But I want people to understand what just happened, right?
Yeah,
You have been thinking subconsciously
yeah,
about the globalization of your business,
yes,
living by coastal.
yes,
And this is the part where earlier I was saying, someone asked, how does the subconscious affect the body? We will never understand the how.
yes,
We don't know how. It's smart. Our smartest people don't know how it works, but we do know for damn sure it does work.
yes.
When we are,
Kimberly, it
it
works.
works. You are at Dartmouth, which is a
Yes,
Ivy
yes,
Tufts. You were
yes, yes,
hands and now you are with some of the greatest minds in business when it comes to operations. So globalization and bicoastal, that's already done, right? And
yes.
so we're always in a state of manifestation. So I want to thank you so much for that. It is 5 o'clock on the dot, and I want to be respectful of other people's time. But Kyra, thank you so much for coming. And as you are just continual living proof of you don't have to believe it, but you can try it.
You could
It's
try it, y'all. It might
hard to
work.
try it. And once it starts working, and that is the best thing, actually, I tell people all the time, you don't have to believe me. Try it. And if you go through the
Try
system
it.
as we mentor you and guide you and teach you to go through the system, you will start to see the results. And when you start to see the results, you have two decisions to make. You can either dismiss it as
Yeah,
coincidence, or you can start to say, this stuff works, and I want to learn how I can have it work bolder, bigger, more abundant in my life. And like I have told earlier today, you don't have to go through things step by step. You don't have to
no,
eat the elephant spoon by spoon. You can have the
no.
whole elephant in one bite. You just need to get
100%.
you just need to
Let
get
me
to
say
that.
this. Every bit of my education was non-traditional. I did every bit of my associates and my bachelor's and my master's degree, non-traditional, Kimberly. I was working, raising a family, and literally working my way through school. And so I didn't get to do the things that I wanted to do educationally. And after tomorrow, I'll be an alum of this executive program, Tuck School of Business. So top that, right? Top that. I think we'll try.
The world is magical, and
Yes.
I want to quickly go to, for those of you who didn't register for day two on tomorrow, I have another guest entrepreneur that is going to be joining us tomorrow, who is also wonderful, wonderful. You don't want to miss on tomorrow, so make sure you get registered. Does anyone have, Kyra, I know you're at Dartmouth. Does anyone have any questions that either for myself or for Kyra? And if you are ready to say, hey, I have some more questions, I know I need a mentor and I need to go and get started with mentoring. We have the scheduling link, as well as Carlos is going to put that scheduling link in there. It's to Calendly. Go ahead and start booking your appointments. We will definitely, someone from our Seismic team, if not me directly, will definitely get back to you. But we also want to open it up to some Q&A for those who want to just hang around if you have any questions. And we're not going to say goodbye just yet, Carlos, but if anybody has any questions, we'll take a couple of questions, but we want to be respectful of individuals' time. But make sure that you get the scheduling. Carlos has put the scheduling link in there. Go ahead and get scheduled on the calendar. so that you can learn more about our programs and how we actually work with professionals and entrepreneurs to help you guys to understand, to give you the tools and strategies and mentoring so we can collapse this timeline and get you moving forward so you're not out there in a rowboat trying to go upstream when that ain't necessary. There are people out there who know what we're doing. Iron sharpens iron. Now you can walk through the desert barefoot if you want to, or we can put you in a nice, comfortable SUV with air conditioning and roll you up to the pyramids. It's all up to you. Any questions out there for anyone, for either myself or Kyra? We'll give everybody some time to type. But while they're potentially have some questions, Kyra, one last thing from you. How is your mindset different today than it was when you first started?
Man, all I have to know is that it's possible now. That's all I have to know. And then I go after it. And so I don't sit and sulk and wonder. When I see something that I desire, or I've thought about something I desire, then I just get a glimpse of it and I know it's possible, I'm going to create the flow. I'm going in to really start to climb. And so I go after it, Kimberly. I don't ask for permission for many. I go after it and I win on some, I lose on some, but my mindset is focused on, of gaining access to the things that I desire.
Okay. And hey, everyone, cost, timing of the program, book on the calendar link so that we could go into all of those details with you. We actually have several different programs. And so we'll talk through what program is the best fit for you, given the time that you have, as well as your expectations. Kyra, how would it be possible to help more people, even though they limit themselves on just a scale that could be bigger and broader?
Well, I think it's about helping the individuals understand what their limitations are, what they're reflecting in terms of limitations. Let me say that first, because sometimes people don't know how it's coming across. So the first thing is to expose them and help them better understand the limitation that they're expressing. That's number one. Then number two, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't fight people for their limitations. If I can help you see it and I expose it, but you want to stay in it, and I try. My job is not, I'm a transformational leader. I am not an inspirational leader. So I am not here to inspire you to want the best for your life. If you are in a space and you're on this call with Kimberly, you are in a place where you are calling for something bigger. And so for those that are still following or falling into the kind of the rabbit hole of limitations for themselves, they've got to do the work. And the work is face themselves, identify the limitations, and determine if they're willing to give them up. Because some limitations are part of our conditions or our conditional thinking, and we don't know or have a better solution for them. So sometimes we look at financial conditions, household conditions. It's like never cleaning your room. The condition is you're living in a dirty room. And the output of that is you're going to have a cluttered mind, and you're not necessarily going to have a lot of clarity, which means you're going to always think that you're not strong enough, smart enough, or even, tidy enough, organized enough to get something done. If you clean your room, you could change your mind.
Yep. And we also spoke on that. We did, we spoke about mindset and I'll show you you've seen the stick person. You've gone through the Proctor Gallagher, the little stick man. But that part of the work, and that's a very important question, but that part of the work, again, is where it gets down and dirty.
Yeah.
I would say I would run this test, Kyra, with entrepreneurs all the time. As a person in banking, corporate banking, my clients were billionaires. But I've also done small business where I work with people who made thousands of dollars to no dollars, all the way up to billions of dollars. So I'm uniquely prepared to do this work. And I've seen the mindsets of people who've gone from zero to multiple millions, and people who were at zero. And when I met them again, they were still at zero, right? Or they were at 5 and couldn't get off 5. Whatever the number was, they just couldn't get off of it. And what that comes down to, when we start to talk to individuals about their mindset and the way that they think and breaking down those limiting beliefs. And it is an aha moment. Most of
Yes.
us don't even know that we're doing it. And we don't know the setbacks to thinking a certain way and how that's affecting us, because we're thinking it's something on the outside that's doing
Yes.
it. It's the
Yes. That's
economy.
so good.
It's who's the president. It's who's the governor. It's my ex. It's my spouse. It's my children. We think it's something on the outside. And when you are ready to truly do this work and move from where you are to where you want to be, I am warning everyone, it is an inner job. There is nothing more I can do for you on the surface, or Kyra can do for you on the surface, to get you where you want to be. And we're not here to sell you into a program. We truly are here to transform lives, which is why my business is called Seismic Transformations.
And that's
And
why we're in alignment.
yeah, and when you come on with me as a mentor, with me
Mhm.
as your mentor, I will change the way that you strategically approach your life and
Yeah.
give you the tools in order to understand how to operate when your mindset does shift. Because
Yeah.
your mindset will shift working with me. And when it does shift, you need to understand. Right now you may understand how to work with a hammer. But when you start to understand that the tool that you need is a let's just say it's a power tool. Doesn't help you to just understand to go from one tool to the next. You need to truly understand that it's a completely different mindset working with that power tool than it is working with a hammer. And the things that you can accomplish with it is completely different. Now, where my worth comes in is that no two people are going to have the same results working with that power tool. It is going to be your inability to imagine and then to execute upon the multiple things that you can accomplish with that power tool. Some people are only going to stop at one or two things. Others are going to see the infinite possibilities and potentials of what they can do. And
That's
that
so
is when you
good.
start to break through those limitations and you start to scale and grow. There is no one way to scale a company or to scale your life, but you cannot tap into the mind and the subconscious consciousness of the unlimited possibilities and potentials, holding on to what you have now, thinking that what it is that you need to correct is on the outside. The work that we do is on the inside. Warning. That is the warning. And
And you've
until
got to want to do it. You've
and
got
you
to want to
gotta
do it. Got to want to do
you
it.
got to
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if there are any more questions, thank you, everyone. I'm being respectful of time. Thank you for everyone who's hung in there with us to the end. Get registered for tomorrow. If you have any more questions, again, go ahead and schedule a meeting, and we can answer your questions one-on-one. We know a lot of people don't want to put their questions in a chat, but we're very happy to be able to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much. See you on tomorrow for Dominate. That's where we're going to get down and do the work. Today was all about mental, spiritual. We can't leave out spiritual when we're doing this work. But tomorrow we're going to get down into tactics and strategies. See you tomorrow.